Hey Northlake students, this is Mrs. Burley, and I'm going to walk you through the Amplify library. To get to the library, you'll go to the Amplify ELA, click over here into the menu, and find the library. So this library is a nice, large online library. It's definitely not as big as the library we have here at Northlake, but for an online ebook library, it is quite large. And so it's set up where they always will have something that they're highlighting here in this big banner. They're going to have books that are recently read, and this is recently read by anyone at any school who uses Amplify. So it's not just Northlake recently read, but nationwide recently read. Novel guides that go along with class books, and then they start getting into the different genres. So you can scroll down and see which different genres they have here. Now you can also come up here to the genre button, and you can see how they've organized books. Anthologies are going to be books that have many stories in them. They've got a classics area, fiction, nonfiction, play, poetry, and a reference section. And so you can click on fiction, fairy tales, and it's going to pull up a list of the ones they have. The next little tab here is My Library. They will keep track of what you've recently read. They will keep track of anything you have favorited. I don't think I've done that yet. So there's little hearts on the books that you can, we'll get to that in a minute. Any books you've downloaded, which you probably won't need to do. And then it can also take you to all books, so you can see them all. That doesn't mean that they're in any category. I think now they're alphabetical instead. So they can show you that as well. If you ever get lost and want to go back, just click on Amplify Library up here. It'll take you back. They've also created some lists, which are similar to what we have in our Destiny Discover. We have a thing called collections where we keep lists. And so these lists are generated by the Amplify company. And you can kind of go in and see, like they've got an awards winners list. So lists can be very fun to look at as well. Coming over here, they have Lexile level, and I don't know if this is students and teachers it'll be interesting to see, but you can manipulate and move the Lexile level of the books, and then it will only show the ones that are there. Go ahead and reset that. And of course, you can also search for a book by putting the title, or you can hit surprise me and it'll pick a book for you and give you some information about it. And if you hit surprise me again, it'll just keep giving you books. Now coming up to this menu, if I click home, it's going to take me to this main page. If I click on reading settings, I can decide what works best for me through the Amplify ELA system. So you can pick text size, line spacing, and what's comfortable for you. You can choose whether you want to have the paragraph numbers show on the book. I would suggest you do that. It's a good idea, just especially in the books you're using for class. Whether you want to show any annotations that you make, reveal words, and then you can also hit expand letter spacing, so it will expand it out. So you can kind of play around, see what works best for you as a reader. So if you find a book you are interested in, you can click on it. Over here, it's going to open up, give you a little synopsis of what the book is about. It's going to tell you the Lexile level, if that's something you're interested in knowing. You can heart it, and now you'll see there's a heart over here now, so that's put in my favorites. I've already played around with this book a little bit, so it did say start reading. Now it says continue reading, so I can go ahead and click on that, and that's going to open the book for me. And I believe it will take you wherever you left off when you do that. And you can see here I have the paragraph numbers based off of the fact that I put that in, that's what I wanted it set at. Up here, you can go to this little book icon, and that's going to show you anything you've recently opened. So you might be reading more than one book at a time. It's kind of like a little place to keep all your books that you're reading. Go to the next one. This is about the book I'm on. This is Phineas Gage. So it's going to tell me I can click around from the table of contents. I can click around from chapter to chapter, the glossary, etc. So it's kind of nice to be able to just click from one place to another. I can also use this little scrolling bar to scroll through the different pages. So it'll kind of, sometimes it tells you like, oh yeah, up here, it'll tell you kind of where it's at and what it's going through. So that is an option as well. If you want to like go back to the very beginning, you can just hit that bar and it'll, there you go, take you back to the beginning of the story again. Now you have a couple options when you're reading. You can drag your mouse and highlight. I must have it set on underline at the moment. I'm going to take that off. I can drag it and hit highlight. Oops. You can change the color of the highlighting. You can highlight over it more than once. So like if I know, oh, this area I want to highlight again, I can, if I highlight it, it'll make it darker. Or if I just click on it, I can change the color of it as well. So there's some options. And again, I can have the underline. If you make a mistake, you can hit delete. If you want to make a note, you can just click on the little note. You can type in your note, hit save, and now it'll save that note for you. It's kind of nice to be able to annotate that way. You also notice that there are some of the words that are in blue. That means that the vocabulary is there. And if I click on these words in blue, it's actually going to keep track of which ones I've clicked on. And I'll show you that over here. So over here at the little gear, this is another place where I can come in and set the settings. So I don't have to go all the way out of the story. I can do that right here. And you can watch if I change the line spacing, you can see how it looks when I change it. If I change the size of the font, you can see it. It does it right in front of you so you can decide what works for you. The next one, this is where it's going to keep track of my annotations and my highlights. Look at there. It shows me what I highlighted. It shows me if I did any notes, if I did any, here's the reveal words that I looked up a minute ago. So it's keeping track of those for me as well. The little magnifying glass is handy because I can search, like, let's say I search, and this is Phineas Gage. I'm going to search for a tamping iron, which is a word that comes up several times in the story. And now it's going to tell me what chapter and kind of what page and what paragraph that word, and it's going to give me a little bit of the sentence that it shows up on. So if you're kind of like, oh, I need to remember about that, you could always put a word in the search and it will kind of help you figure out where to find that. And then you just exit out. And then this little flip page icon, if I flip the page, then I can see the same page without all the highlights and annotations. So it just makes it clean again. And then I can flip it back over. And there it is with the highlights and annotations that I put in. So it's kind of nice to be able to have it both, have that option. And when you want to get out of the book, if you go back to your little book, books over here, the very last one says go to library. Click on that. And it takes you right back to the front page of the library. Pretty cool.